Whew, is it hot out there today? Oh, got my fan and everything. You know, on Fridays, I like to order out. And that's what I used to do as far as up until the end of probably, I would say last month. I would go ahead and just like on Fridays call in the order, take out for, I don't know, Chinese food, whatever suited me, subs, pizza, and that's what I wanted, was intending to order today. However, when I checked those prices, they were sky high. And I'm like, well, there goes that. Came back in and said, you know what? I can do this. I can do this on my own. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. So that's what we're making today. We're going to be making a pizza. And no, it's not going to be a 3-hour process. It'll be on the stove top. I'm going to be making the dough, and it does not have yeast in it, so we don't have to wait for the dough to rise and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be really easy. I'm not going to be making pepperoni and, the pepperoni and cheese type of pizza, the blase blase. We're going to try to like upgrade a little bit. I'm going to be using some kale. I'm going to saute that with some onion. I've got some 2 types of cheeses, some mushrooms, and I might put a little bit of balsamic glaze on it. I'm not sure. But anyway, it is stovetop. It's going to be delicious. I'm telling you, once you start making your pizzas on top of the stove, because it relieves you from having to turn your stove on, or I should say your oven on, and heating up your kitchen. You're not really in there that long. And I think you're going to like it. And while you're doing this, you can come up with other ideas of other items in your kitchen that you might want to try for your own pizza date night. You know what I mean? And just get to the point where you're looking forward to coming home after work and putting that together, saving your money, chilling, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the stuff that I was doing in here away, wash my hands, and I'll meet you in the kitchen, and we'll get started. All right. Okay, so we're in the kitchen now, and we're going to get started first with the crust, which I'm going to explain to you step by step what I'm using, and you're going to see how simple it is. Okay? All right. All right, so we're going to start with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. This is the all-purpose flour right here. See? You're going to take 2 cups. This is 1 cup. 2 cups, and 1/2 cup. All right, so you get that out the way. Then I'm going to take 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Now see this thing right here, this little metal part? This is where you scrape off the excess, like that. Now I want you to look at this long enough so that you can start eyeballing it. 2. All right, that's your baking powder. All right. Next, you have 1 teaspoon of salt. However, I don't like to fool around with too much salt. So I'm not really going to put that much in there. I'm going to put probably about a pinch or so. I try to cut down on as much salt as I can. Even when I'm baking bread and I use salt, if I use salted butter, then I don't use salt in the rest of the recipe. Now we have 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water, which comes out to about 7 ounces. So let's go ahead and do that. This is 1/4 cup, and we want 3 of these. Two, 3, and we want 2 tablespoons. I have my tablespoon right here. 1, 2. Okay, and then we also want 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. However, if you don't have it, you can use regular oil. You can use, I have grapeseed oil in here, and that's what I'm using. And it's 1 tablespoon. As you get to see this, you'll start to be able to judge it by looking at it, but I just wanted to show you. All right, so that is that. Now you're going to start putting this all together. I'm going to start off with a spoon until it gets a little bit more thick, like this. And see how it's coming together already? You notice this doesn't have any yeast in it, but the baking powder does help it. And if you need to add a little bit more water to it, you can, but you just need to put it in there a little bit at a time. The other thing too is when you are handling dough, try to just have one hand assembling the dough. I'm going to try and see if I can do this for you. Just use one hand rather than 2. One's a dry hand and the other one is the wet hand that deals with the dough. See how quick this is coming together? I would take homemade dough over store-bought dough any day, but that's just me, like I said. But I also do, on occasion, keep dough in my freezer, just in case. And that noise in the background is probably my cat. He can never sit still. He takes a nap like all day, and as soon as he knows that I'm going to do filming, he wants to either start jumping around, running in and out of the rooms, just trying to make noise, okay? Now, do you see this right here? See how it came together? Onto your board like that, just like that, okay? Let me move this. And I'm going to set this here. See how easy this came together? Look at this. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is putting some onions, mushrooms, and what else did I say? Kale. But the first thing I'm going to do is take some of the onions and saute that with the kale before I add the mushrooms and stuff later on. And you just take about, I took about maybe not even a half of an onion. I would say maybe like a quarter of an onion. Look at this. See? About this much. I really didn't take that much off. See? And you want to cut it into slices. I don't like chunky pieces of onion. I just don't. That's just, you know, maybe you do. But it's your preference. And that's not what I'm saying. Always take something and make it your own. I like nice, long, thin slices, which is what I'm doing here. And after you cut them up, you just like split them all apart. If you feel that you want to have more onion, that's fine. Now, I know you're probably asking about garlic. I didn't forget the garlic. The garlic is going to be infused with some oil, and I'm going to spread that as my base on my pizza. So this is how this looks. So here's all the mushrooms. I'll show you our kale. This is our kale that we have. I'm going to be cutting this up, and then I'm going to saute this with the onion. So let me go ahead and take you on to the stove so you can see as I do that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of this grapeseed oil in here. This is the same pan that I'm going to be using my pizza in for the dough. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting my kale in. So I just like to cut it up. The pan is already preheated, so that's why it's sizzling like this. You can cut it, or if you have kitchen shears, use your kitchen shears. If you don't like the stalk part of your kale, you can take these out and just have the leaves. It's all up to you. And just cut, the leaf part off and leave the stalk like that. Take some of this. And I'm going to also add my onions in there. And it's at this point where you're going to put your seasonings in. Now, your seasonings are basically do what you want. I like to use a little bit of Italian seasoning. And this, again, eyeball it. Just a smidgen of red pepper, because I don't like my stuff really spicy. So I'm going to use probably about this much. If you like it really spicy, then put more in there. Of course, I like to put a little bit of, since I'm not putting the actual garlic in here, but on the dough, this is garlic powder. Another thing, whenever you're using dry ingredients, you use less than you would fresh ingredients because it's stronger. I got a little bit of Adobo. I'm just taking stuff out of my pantry. Get some lemon pepper here. Put that in there. And put a little bit more in there. All right, let me turn this up a little bit now. But you want to basically just wilt your kale. So you can see the onion is starting to caramelize. I should just say brown, okay? I cannot say that word to save my life. And I've got some mushrooms in here too. Because if you don't do it now, when you put them over the dough, after you cook the dough, they're not going to be cooked. And until I decide how I want to put them, all right, so let me put this in a bowl too. I'm going to roll out my dough. I'm going to wipe out this pan. Smells delicious, by the way. I cannot stress enough to make it your own. Use the seasonings that you want to use, that you have on hand. Don't run out and buy something special. Use what you have. Definitely. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and wipe out the pan, and we will get the dough ready. Okay, so I've moved the dough to a smaller board, and I'm going to start rolling this out. Look at that. See? And you want to like pull it as you're rolling it out, because you want it to fit into the pan. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of more oil in here, although you don't need as much because it is a non-stick pan. I'm just pressing it around, just like this, to keep it circular. Turn this up a little bit. And we're going to brown the bottom and then turn it over. You can just like play with the dough. And just try to shape it up a little bit like this. In the meantime, I'm going to, while this is browning, I'm going to go ahead and make the garlic infusion, which will be on the dough. Let me turn this down some. Okay, now, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take some garlic. I have some garlic here. I always keep garlic on hand, always. I have my dough on medium, and I'm not going to cut the garlic. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the garlic press. Ooh, that's the only thing I don't like about garlic is the outer wrapping, okay? I don't like that. It gets all over the place. But anyway, you can peel this off first, or you can just put the whole thing into the garlic press. Let me get my garlic press out here. Now, do you see how this is bubbling? I'm going to check it. Okay, I'm going to let it bubble a little bit more, and then I'm going to turn it over. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this into the garlic press right here. Put it in here. And just squeeze it on out. Just like that. And I would say 2 or 3 cloves. Take this out and do the same thing to the other side. The other piece. Find a decent piece of garlic. I don't want it too garlicky though, you know. Even though I love garlic, I don't want it to overpower. Here we go. Gotta squeeze hard. Use your muscles. Use your muscles. All right. Check my pizza again. Can you see how it's starting to come together? I'm going to turn it over, but in the meantime I'm just going to take a little bit of the grapeseed oil because I don't have olive oil, and I'm going to pour it in here like this. And spread it across my dough when I turn it over. Do you see this? You can put more garlic in there if you want to. Probably could use another one. I'm about to turn that stuff over. You just have to keep your eye on it. This out, get some more. There we go. All right, so I gotta try and turn this over now. I have a big spatula. Let me turn this down to like low. And as you can see, there's your dough. Now this is all this is the from when I was cooking the kale. But I'm going to take my let me take it off for a second. Turn it off for 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and instead of using like a tomato sauce or a red sauce or even a white sauce, I gotta cook the other side, so I gotta keep it on low while this is going on. If you want, you can let that sit for a minute. Okay, once I put the infusion of garlic and all this on, I gotta hurry up and put my other stuff on, which is my kale. Spread it over, all over, all over, all over. I'm going to go ahead and put in my onions and mushrooms. I got to add my cheese. Let me go ahead and get my cheese. And so now I'm going to put my cheese on there. Sharp cheddar, white cheddar, and I have some parmesan as well. Again, the choice of cheese is up to you. Okay, so I have it on low. I'm going to go ahead and put my top on. Melted. And there it is. Wow. And I'm going to top it off with some balsamic glaze and brown sugar top. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This looks gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Wow. And you can do this too. It wasn't hard, as you could see. So the next time you want some pizza, make it yourself, you know? You will be so grateful to yourself for saving money. Okay, let's try this out now. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. It's got a smoky, sweet, tangy taste to it. And when I added that balsamic glaze with a little bit of brown sugar in it, that set it off. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our episode today, please like and subscribe. Also, please check out my new podcast series, No Reinvention Needed, Just a Return, featured every Thursday on Spotify. We'll be talking about everything regarding living your best life after 60. Don't forget, every Thursday on Spotify. See you there.